Design Leader Insights is brought to you by Fuego UX. Fuego UX is a leading UX research, strategy, and design consultancy. Hey, Farid, thank you so much for joining the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. And as we get started, can you give us a little bit of context in your journey in UX?
Sure. So I've been in tech industry for more than 30 years. I started as a software engineer for the first 1 or 2 years, and then I moved into design because I wanted to do things much more faster and have more impact. So that's the reason why I moved into design, because I wanted to be closer with closer to the business. And for the last 4 years, I've been focusing on operations, design operations especially, where I gained a lot of knowledge and experience working with talented people. And I'm always into processes. I'm always into craft excellence, into ops excellence. So that's the reason why I wanted to grow and scale a little bit more into horizontal programs like DesignOps, where I could facilitate and help others to learn and improve their, craft excellence within the organization. And for the last 4 years, I've been focusing on design operations, where it's all related to evolving specific practices like content design or product design or design systems. Design systems is a huge topic there. Lately, I've been focusing on the metrics itself, how to communicate value for specific programs, for specific disciplines within large organizations, where you have hundreds of designers. And I know the market is tough, so that's the reason why everyone is trying to actually measure the impact and the value and the quality of all the things that we are performing as a part of the program, practice, or discipline overall. So this is the core focus, and this is my journey.
I saw you speak, I believe it was in December at a DesignOps conference in Los Angeles, and you were talking, it was an awesome presentation on those metrics. And I think, how would you tell teams to start thinking about critical metrics for a design org that maybe isn't measuring those today?
Sure. So there are so many data points that you could measure, but it's important to understand the reason why we're trying to measure specific things. It always starts with strategy, with understanding of the objectives that we are trying to reach. So let me give you an example. Within the design practice, there are so many practices, like, as I mentioned, product design, content design, user research, design systems. Let's dive deeper into design system, and let's have a more specific context. So let's imagine that you have a large organization with dozens of products, and you invested a lot into the design system, and you are focusing on the adoption. So you have the design system, you have the first release, you have things in Storybook and Figma, they're somehow connected, and now you are trying to focus on the adoption. When you have direction, when you have specific objectives, it's easier to set up the metrics, because you are trying to prioritize the metrics that will tailor, that will add more value to your story, that will support your narrative, right? Speaking about design system, if you are trying to focus on the adoption, there are many different ways to do that. But it's important to visualize the whole process. Try to understand, in what kind of processes do we have internally, how we collaborate with other partners, and what kind of things we could measure, right? Because there are so many things that we could measure. In some of the cases within the tool, you will find a lot of interesting data points that you could utilize to have the first iteration of your metrics. So for example, for design system, in the case of if you're trying to increase the adoption, you might focus on the things areas like contributions. How many contributions are you getting outside of your design system? And maybe your own design system performance. How many new components or how many new requests or how many new patterns did you define for the last quarter or for the last month? Then the adoption itself, right? The adoption itself could be captured by design as a practice, engineering as a practice, and then connecting these two dots together as a product, right? It's really important to be organized and disciplined in the ways how we work, so that we will get the clean data out of these data points. So like there are so many things that you could measure. There are so many data points that you could take. It's just important to start with the objective and then go through all the different areas and try to define which kind of data points will support your narrative.
I think that makes a ton of sense. I think one other thing you talked about, which I want to like shout from the mountaintops, is always breaking down silos. And you talked about design ops working with product ops and dev ops, which makes a ton of sense. And I don't think I've ever seen anyone talk about that. So let's switch gears to maybe that design ops or product ops manager that might be listening. How do you encourage them? Because they're probably doing a lot of similar work, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
How do you encourage them to break down those silos?
Yeah, the main hideout of this talk is we are all doing the same things from different lenses. So engineering ops might focus on the onboarding experience and they are trying to like improve it, right? And if design or product will not be part of that, like we are going to miss the design and product voice within the onboarding experience. So it's important to collaborate it. And there are a couple of stages, practical stages that people can take. First of all, it's understand and like build partnerships with other ops experts within the organization. And then one of the practical ways to start is just to visualize the product development lifecycle and the employee experience. And if you will visualize all of that and you will take all the initiatives that this specific like engineering ops team done before or design ops team done before, you could see the overlays and you could learn from each other. And like within large organizations, it's always happening that you're trying to focus on one specific thing, like staffing, for example, and at the same time, another team is working on the same things, but from different lenses. So if you collaborate, it's not only like defining and understanding that there are areas for collaboration, but also I like this approach of design critiques, right? Or code reviews. So similar things could be applied for operations like ops reviews or ops critique sessions, where you are doing something from like designer's perspective, but then you are creating a room for other product ops and engineering ops to come and like share their feedback. And maybe they will highlight, oh, actually we've done the products map before, product ops might say, and they will just add more links to your playbook that will be more helpful. If designers start asking what are the main capabilities this specific product is solving for or used for.
Farid, what advice do you have for new designers entering the field today?
First thing is to buy premium ChatGPT subscription. Because like you need to learn, actually, you need to have specific AI literacy to know how to use these models in your own advantage. It's not only about like writing emails or writing messages to your colleagues. You can create custom agents within ChatGPT by setting up custom instructions. If you are going into user research, you could create synthetic personas and do synthetic interviews or synthetic usability tests with the OpenAI Vision API. You can like actually put your designs out there, and it will able to critique. And it's like for entry level, some of these things might be a good feedback for you to improve and evolve. For service design, if you are new to a specific domain, you could create a subject matter expert in e-commerce or maybe in other fields and just ask so many questions or ask to create a customer journey map for this specific program. So like what I'm trying to say is to utilize AI and have AI literacy, and don't think about like this ChatGPT is just like to use that for emails, right? One thing that I would love for every designer to like focus and put more attention into is not only experience, but also making sure that you know the customer problems, pain points. If you have user researcher, that doesn't mean that you don't have to make a user research, right? There are some like pretty simple entry point user research studies like interviews and usability tests that everyone could run. And actually product management, they are doing that. This is a part of their responsibilities as well. And the second part is to learn how to read the data, because and think about the ways how you will like how to communicate the value of specific feature, of specific product that you are working on. Learning the business language is so important for designers. And at some point of time, because we have some specific understanding on the market, how design should work, how product should work, unfortunately, you will see some limitations within the design. And that's the reason why people are switching into product management, because they can like own the product. They could lead the strategy of how product will grow. But like, this is like completely different story, and requires a lot of different skill sets, but there are a lot of overlaps.
So true. Farid, thank you so much for coming on and sharing these insights today.
Sure, happy to be here. Thank you for inviting.